we had an axle catastrophe. We were driving down the road, didn't think anything was wrong. We felt a little bump, Airstream toes so smooth, didn't think anything about it. We stopped for lunch, and when we came back out, noticed that this is like a little removable cap here so you can grease the bearings. It was gone. And I was like, oh, that's weird. So I looked through the hole in it, and this cap, which goes on the hub assembly, was also off, and I could see inside, and things were not centered anymore. The nut that holds this all together was half gone and welded, was like, here, hold on, let me show you. There, that's what it looked like. It was not whole anymore. So we're like, well, crap, what's going on? So we lifted, we got it up high enough to where this wheel would be loose, and the whole wheel was just like rocking everywhere. So we're like, okay, this is really bad. So it turns out that somehow, we still don't know exactly what happened. Something failed somewhere, and there was an incredible amount of heat down in here, and this piece actually slipped off and started melting the nut because there was so much pressure on it. The brakes are all completely gone. They got melted away. This is our old bearing. It is the bearing. Yeah. This is the bearing because there were little bearings in each one of these holes at some point. I mean, this thing is completely toast. Everything in here is just like melted and mangled, and I'm surprised that we didn't. I mean, if we hadn't seen this cap gone and we had kept going, our wheel would have just flown off in the middle of nowhere. So the unfortunate situation here is that because this melted into the spindle, that means we have to get the whole axle replaced. And guess what? Vintage Airstream axles are not readily available. So we are here at our friend's house in Phoenix. They've been super gracious. They were actually like a quarter mile from where we found all this, so we limped on 3 wheels here, and we parked in their driveway, and we've ordered new axles, but we're waiting probably 2 to 3 weeks because that's just how long it takes Dexter to make them. So yeah, we've decided that we're just gonna go ahead and replace both axles, because if we get a new axle up front, that means the torsion isn't going to be the same, the brakes are all going to be different, and we're going to have, you know, a set of brakes and bearings and axles that are 3+ years old, and then a brand new one. So it's like, well, we might as well just get both of them. So we've ordered 2 axles. We paid a rush fee to get them here sooner, but we're kind of stuck here. So yeah, always check for temperature and heat whenever you stop, just to make sure. I mean, again, like, we just felt a small bump and heard a small noise, and we didn't think anything of it because it didn't change the way it towed. We didn't feel any issue at all. What's crazy is we were just here 3 weeks ago with some truck issues. We had some Packrats that gnawed through $1,200 worth of damage in our truck, which is just crazy. So our friends, beginning from this morning, they have let us stay in their driveway so many times. You can see they're working on an awesome bus conversion over there. So we're trying not to be too loud, but we wanted to show you this. So apparently these Packrats got inside here and chewed through the knock sensor and the air intake sensor. And so our truck went into limp mode. Like, we could have really messed up the transmission if we didn't get it taken care of quickly. So we were actually coming to visit them, and we were at Lost Dutchman State Park, and it was raining, and so apparently with all the rain and the cold, they got up inside there and they chewed through a bunch of stuff. We thought the transmission was toast, but when we took it into the dealership, they were like, well, you just have a few wires that got chewed through. But it still cost a ton of money because they had to take a bunch of stuff apart just to get to it. So we got that fixed, but we now know that Packrats can really cause a lot of problems. So we've done a few things to kind of help with that. The first is that we've installed a couple of these little ultrasonic devices. And I don't know if you can see it down in here, but So what this does is it emits like a high-pitched frequency that rodents supposedly don't like. And it also has a series of flashing lights that run at different intervals so that it's not something they can get used to. So we've got one on each side, and we made sure that the speakers are not pointing towards the sound deadening up here, because otherwise that would kind of defeat the whole purpose. So it bounces into the engine, so hopefully it should keep them away. Another thing we did is we built this thing. Who was it on YouTube that did this? So the upside of downsizing did something similar to this. So they bought this off Amazon. So it's a solar panel and a battery and a rope light. And they just sort of attached it to this piece of wood here. And so you can see the pole goes through so that it can just sit here, can collect sun during the day. And then at night when there's not enough light, it actually has a sensor that makes the rope light turn on. And so then you can just slide it under here and it'll help illuminate underneath the engine, because again, Packrats really don't like light. They like to go in here when it's dark or when it's warm. So between these things, hopefully this will keep them out, because we definitely don't want to have to deal with that again. So it's been a crazy month, and we're trying to record videos, but we're here in the middle of suburbia, and there's like kids' cars running everywhere, grinders and children screaming, and basketballs bouncing, and trucks driving past. And
sorry.
So if it's noisy, it is what it is. Yeah, so this has been very inconvenient, very expensive.
Super expensive. I'm super glad that we have a emergency fund though.
Yeah, emergency funds are really important. Also, for the truck, we did actually submit to our insurance company. We haven't heard back yet, but we'll see if they'll cover it or not.
A small portion, I guess.
Small portion of it, at least, after our deductible. And maybe for the trailer, too. We might look into that.
Yeah, our axles we did replace when we renovated in 2017, so...
Yeah, that's something that we didn't really talk about earlier, is we did replace those. They are new, and we have repacked the bearings twice now. Check the brakes and all that, so like they have been maintained. They are new, but
it doesn't explain why it happened. It's
really
weird.
Who knows? It's a pain because we're trying to do this whole land thing. We're actually supposed to be over there camping so that we can go to a meeting about rezoning the property, and so we're gonna have to go and like make a whole day trip out of it. Which is fine, but it's just
a lot of driving.
Annoying. Yeah. Next week, we're going to go submit our paperwork for rezoning, which is a big deal.
It's a huge deal. Big deal.
So it's going to be fun. We're going to explain why we're rezoning and like why it's important. So we'll see you then.
Every time you hit record. Wait.